If you're having suicidal thoughts or feelings or feel like you have no hope, please call 988. There, you can talk to someone who not only cares about your story, but cares about you. Please reach out today. Thomas P. Murphy once said, "Minutes are worth more than money. Spend them wisely." At Minutes Wisely, we take that to heart. Our mission is to decrease veteran suicide by providing life-changing experiences for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. We believe that we can make a lasting impact by rekindling a sense of purpose and fostering community through sponsored tickets to sporting events. These experiences are not just about the game, they're about the moments that can change lives. A simple sporting event can boost joy and instill a sense of renewed hope and purpose for those who have served. Join us in making a difference, become a moment maker, and empower a veteran with rediscovered hope. Visit minuteswisely.com for more information and to get involved. Together, we can make every moment count.
That flyby was for you, Frankie.
That was pretty good. I loved it.
It gets me a heart on every single time, man.
It reminded me of being in Virginia, right next to Oceana, where I was. I used to live over there, and it was like, yeah, I remember that. It was pretty awesome.
Sound of freedom. It's awesome.
That's right.
So welcome back to another episode of TSP. And
I'm
Andrew
in my
in his
dungeon again. One more night, and I'm free. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm free. God.
You sure about that? Might get cold.
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen. I can only do 3 nights a week because I can't make more than I can't do more than 40 hours because they only pay you for like less than 40 hours to watch the homeless guys. So I can't do more than 3 shifts or I go crazy.
Yeah, but I don't really have any announcements today, man.
You don't?
Except
you always have announcements.
Well, check out our website, http. I can't even talk.
No, you can't.
Minuteswisely.com.
Like ... backslash.
Yeah. I don't know why I was doing the whole HTTPS thing.
I think you're just used to it by now. You know what I mean? You see it so many times, and you're kind of like conditioned to it.
Frankie, he's an IT guy, so he talks in like code.
I get it.
Sometimes I'm like,
you're kind of like,
Richard, what are you talking? Fleek, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hashtag good.
If you hop over there, you can sign up for our newsletter. Our newsletter is a great way to get our information. We're always giving away cool ass trips. If you're a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family member, we have a couple trips coming up. We're going to send a veteran deep sea fishing in South Florida, all expenses paid by Minutes Wisely. I'm talking to the Nashville Sounds. I'm going to purchase a suite for one night and host an entire room of veterans this summer. And I'm going to pay for all their drinks and all their food. And a bunch of other things coming up. Like I said, just go to the website, sign up for our newsletter.
I really hope you consider that scuba diving thing, man, because I'm a rescue diver, man. I'm certified.
Yes, Andrew here, he's offered up to take a veteran or two down to Florida, and he's going to take them scuba diving.
Last weekend of June. I booked it last night. So the room is paid for. Like we get a 2-bedroom villa in Panama City. And so I know. Yeah. Blue Green Bayside Resort and Spa. And 1 mile down the road is Panama City Diving, owned by my fraternity brother, Captain Pat Green. And if you ever need any scuba diving, you need to go see him. He and I went to Rollins together. He and I used to run Orlando. It was kind of crazy.
You guys have matching hats?
Oh yeah, he's a tech diver, a free diver. He's IDC. He's everything. He does everything diving, and for these veterans, you can use your 911 GI Bill if you like scuba and you want to go further. The GI Bill will pay for your open water, advanced open water, rescue diver, or tech diving.
Right.
And it's all on the website. And if you want to look into it, I will send you an
Make a
email
long
about
story
that.
short, if you want to learn how to scuba dive for free, all you have to do is go to war. Come home.
And you have to
go
get
scuba
with
diving.
Fleek and put your. We have to do some kind of raffle or
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
That's the
we got
extra part of
plenty
it.
of time. So what are you gonna do? Drive down there? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yo.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Frankie, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear her.
I can't
Andrew.
hear anybody.
Well, we can
And
hear
Fleek,
each
you're
other.
frozen.
I think it's you, man.
Yep.
Reboot your computer.
I got
or
full
something.
bars over here.
I'll do sign language.
Okay.
Well,
We're talking about the waves, so
there he goes. All right. While we're waiting for him,
yeah,
why don't we get into Frankie's story? So,
Sure.
would you like to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from?
Sure. So my actual name is Francisco Aviles, but I go by Frankie. You know, my friends and family do. Anybody that is a veteran that was with me or anybody else, you know, you have that instant connection. So I make them comfortable. Hey, my name is Frankie. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and
Nice.
I joined the Navy when I was 17.
All right, a squid.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now, Andrew? I don't know what he's doing.
Maybe can you hear us
Andrew?
now?
All right, well,
Hello?
we'll keep going. Hello.
Hello, can you hear us?
We can hear you. Let me see if I can send him a chat.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Try to see if you can send them a chat or even send them a text message and be like, "Hey, man, check your audio. Maybe it's switch from the computer to the actual microphone, you know, and the headphones or whatnot."
Let's see if he answers. But
Let's see.
all right. So you grew up in Puerto Rico?
I did. Yeah, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. My
What-
family moved here. I think it was when I was like in 8th grade or something like that, and I spent like 6 months here, and then I went back home to Puerto Rico, and that's where I joined from. Yeah.
How did you like? I have so many questions.
Go for it. I know exactly what you're gonna ask too. Go for it.
Like how was Puerto Rico like compared to living here in the States?
Well, back when I was growing up, Puerto Rico was what anywhere in the United States South feels like. There was a couple areas that you knew that you shouldn't go in there. You know what I mean? Because every town has them. But everybody had a very profound sense of community. People were very intertwined to the social fabric of Puerto Rico, meaning more in the sense of, you know, passing down the culture, understanding that your kids are my kids and we got to look out for them because we all love them and we all want to make them safe. So Puerto Rico was a very different place from where I left and when I came back in 2015. I honestly felt like I was in a different place altogether. And to me, that was I would say the hardest shock, you know, all throughout going back to Puerto Rico and growing in Puerto Rico, because you come back and everything looks the same.
You guys are coming in like very, I mean, it's like a video game, like blah, 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 blah.
Can you try rebooting your computer because we can hear you just fine. So I'll mute him for now. But anyways, I've been to Puerto Rico a couple different times, and I love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's what an awesome place to grow up.
Yeah, it was. Dude, I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Puerto Rico. I'm from a place called Lares, and Lares is where one of the Miss Universe, for beauty pageants came from.
Yeah.
The guy that sings Feliz Navidad, he actually came from my hometown too. So it's a place that it's known. We've had many veterans that have gone pretty much everywhere throughout the world and done some amazing things. But it was a town that was just so pure. And I'm not, not bashing my own hometown or anything like that, but I'm just being honest, things change rapidly after I left, and I would say Hurricane Maria didn't help, but I was there for Hurricane Maria, so I was already back in Puerto Rico, so I can see that it was not the place for me anymore. I was like, like I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because to me, the environment is something that as people that not every veteran does, but the veterans that do, they struggle with PTSD and get into some things that they shouldn't. Your environment is what's going to dictate how you're going to be doing all throughout, that process you got to go through as a man or as a woman dealing with PTSD. So I was like, no, man, I'm out of here. And it was so neat. It was running in the field, picking freaking coffee and eating it from the freaking tree.
Yeah.
Like, who does that? You know what I mean? Like, we used to just see the right coffee and we were 5-6 years old and we just grab it and just pop it in our mouth and just start freaking eating it and chewing it like it was bubble gum. So
Cool.
yeah, that was pretty cool. I loved it.
There's so the funny thing is about Puerto Rico, because I don't see them here. I'm from Michigan. I live in Tennessee now, but like iguanas just walking around, man. I thought that was the most fascinating thing. Crazy
iguanas. Yeah, they're everywhere. In my hometown, not so much. You see them, but you see them kind of like in the woods kind of thing. Because if they get too close to like a yard, then a dog is just literally going to come in and just get done. Like, just, okay, bye, iguana. That kind of thing. That happens often. We had dogs growing up, and you'll see the iguana, and then all of a sudden you just see kind of like the tail, and you're like, I wonder what happened to that iguana. I don't know. Yeah, they're everywhere, bro. They're everywhere. There's even freaking monkeys off of an island in Puerto Rico. It's called Mona Island. Yeah, and they do like freaking research and stuff like that. They study vaccines and freaking disease and stuff like that, and you can take a trip off of the west coast of Puerto Rico and go hunting over there for wild boar that they also have in that island. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty badass. All right, let's see if we hear him now.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Oh, there he goes again.
It might be his internet connection. In all honesty, it doesn't make any sense unless his browser is not up to date or anything like that.
Yeah, it was working and it just all of a sudden stopped. That's weird.
Yeah, that is pretty weird.
So what do you think about this kind of off
No, go for it, bro. I'm not somebody to keep it in the line. So yeah, go for it.
What do you think about Puerto Rico becoming a state?
Well, I'll give you two explanations. I'll give you the one from somebody that believes in statehood, and then the one that is more pro-American, in all honesty.
Yeah.
As somebody from Puerto Rico that has seen the island being ravaged 1,000% by the taxation that we have to actually pay out to the shipping companies, and our citizens are just destroyed by the Jones Act itself, which basically means that nothing can come into Puerto Rico unless it is actually transported in a U.S. made or a U.S. flagged vessel. Period. Nothing can come in the island. So we have no free trade other than that of the United States. And it is completely inherent because we are a U.S. territory. So I get it. But the cost of that shipping gets passed down to the consumer. So in Puerto Rico right now, we're complaining about having $4 dozen eggs here. In Puerto Rico, $7.
Yeah.
Because things have to get off the island to come back. So somebody that is pro-statehood, and I will always be pro-statehood, I say that it will be the best thing that could happen. There have been about 6 votes so far, and other than one, have all been for statehood. So I would love to see Puerto Rico become a state, and that will be something that will make my family very proud. And those that are in Puerto Rico still, because they are all pro-statehood. They're very Republican, if you would, just to put it in comparison here. Now, in the American perspective, Puerto Rico is not a viable economic move for the United States today, because then you will lose that revenue from the Jones Act itself. That will see a lot of the shipping companies that work from South Florida and Central Florida and Northern Florida be affected by the shipping costs and the basic shift of the goods that are going to go down, and those taxes The government of Puerto Rico is not going to see it. The United States is not going to see it either. So right now there's a movement in Puerto Rico that is pro independence. And in the last vote, it was about 39% or 36% of the electorate. They actually wanted a pro independence candidate to get into the governorship. So it might be just a social fluke for that matter. But if you look at it as somebody making policy decisions within the United States, I would say Puerto Rico is not a viable option to become a state today. On top of that, because of the presidency that we currently have sitting in the White House, 71% of Puerto Ricans voted for Kamala Harris. So why would a Republican president or a Republican Senate with a Republican House vote for statehood for an actual, an actual place that is going to give maybe about, I would say, 5 or 6 congressmen and women coming into the actual fold, and then 2 more senators that are going to be more than likely, not the truth, but more than likely in their vision is going to be a Democrat. So it will shift the balance of, American policies and American politics in general. So it is not a viable economic, situation. But if we look at how the things are unfolding geopolitically throughout the world, Puerto Rico will have the same significance it had in the 70s and the 80s for years to come, because we were basically the base for all the submarines that were taking care of all the Atlantic and the Caribbean, and pretty much anywhere that we can refuel, repurpose those things and send them out. Puerto Rico will have that again if we continue in the pace that we're going. So that's pretty much, the best way that I can sum it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it pretty much comes down to the almighty dollar.
That's it. That's it, because Puerto Rico has resources. Puerto Rico has copper, nickel, gold, but it cannot be farmed. It cannot be actually mined properly because the ecological damage that will happen to the island. We have about 5 or 6 freshwater aquifers within the island itself. So we are in a place that if we damage that, Puerto Rico will not have any water for the future to come. So a lot of the ecologists and people within the state legislature and whatnot of Puerto Rico per se, they go like, nah, we don't want none of that crap. And rightfully so. Puerto Rico has always been a farming community for that matter. So damaging the water will just damage Puerto Rico at all. That's the biggest not the attraction, but it's the most attractive thing for people in Puerto Rico. They go like, dude, I can just put a well down and I'm good. Like I don't have to deal with none of the water and crazy stuff over here.
Yeah. So one of the times I was in Puerto Rico was in May, and let me tell you, it was hot. It was hot, man.
The humidity is what gets everybody. Everybody goes like, "Oh my God, Florida is so hot," and they're like, "Dude, just go down a little bit closer to the equator and get that that good old heat coming up from the top." Because that stuff it's brutal. And I remember growing up in it, man. We used to grab the hose and we had to let it run for a while. Like not even the water line was cold, and we were like, "No, we just gotta let that sucker run." Like this ain't going nowhere. Like
burn you.
I don't want to have freaking just coming to my mom with my freaking lips like that. Like, oh my God, I'm burning. Yeah. So yeah.
So so you joined the Navy out of Puerto Rico? Do they have recruiters there and MEPs and everything?
There's a lot. Yeah, we have a MEP station, and it's basically an actual attaché or a detachment for that matter. The way that they portray it is a detachment from the Miami office. It's the District of Miami.
I gotcha.
So you have people in Fort Buchanan, which is where the instituted MEP station is at, and then you have it all throughout the towns in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has 78 municipalities, and there's about, I would say, 15 duty stations or something like that for recruiters, if I believe correctly. It's been a while since I haven't, looked even at the numbers per se, but I remember going to the different stations and everything like that. And you have representation from all the military services too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Where did you go to boot camp at?
I went to boot camp in Great Lakes. Yeah, I went to Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Good old Chicago. Good old cold.
What time of year were you up there?
Oh, I was there right in the beginning of the freaking winter. So yeah, I did my battle stations and everything else in December 5th, December 5th, December 6th when I did my snow and everything. It was great. It was awesome. Yeah.
So you went from Puerto Rico to
freaking awesome, bro. Yeah, amazing. Now on top of that, I went to sub school after that. I went to Texas for CS or culinary specialist school. Freaking snowed in Texas and San Antonio. First time since God knows when. And then I went up to Groton, Connecticut to go to sub school. Snowed in for 5 days, couldn't even move, couldn't do anything. Yeah, it was crazy. It was amazing. I was like, oh my God, I love the US. This is awesome.
How long is sub school?
I think it was 2 or 3 months. I can't honestly remember how long it was because it just went by so quickly
Yeah.
for me.
What year were you in?
I was in 2005 to 2014.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I got out right at 9 years. Was med boarded out.
Yeah, I went to Great Lakes also. I was also in the
There you go.
Navy.
Nice.
Yeah, but probably 20 years before you.
That's okay. Freaking
What so you got out of sub school. What sub did you get?
I was stationed in the USS Oklahoma City. Yeah.
Where what was that home put at?
In Virginia. Good old Norfolk.
Yeah.
The best base in the world.
It's the largest base in the world.
I know, it's crazy. Dude, I went there back because it's been like almost 20 years since I was there. And I have a 5-year-old son and I'm married. So we went for my wife's birthday. She wanted to go to DC. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to DC. We'll drive from Florida. We'll go to DC. That's fine. So we did with their road trip. We stopped in Savannah. We stopped in Norfolk. And I was like, dude, I want to see the base. I haven't seen the base in so long. Like, I want to see it. I went in exactly the same freaking crap. Same potholes in the same place, same damage. And I was just sitting here like, okay, the piers look a little bit nicer. The guard shack or the MA's shack is nice. That's pretty freaking cool. But other than that, nothing. I was like, wow, so much money. And it's the same crap. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and I were there a couple years ago. I have one of my shipmates. He retired out of there, chief, and he
Nice.
still lives in the area. So we went and visited, and he took us on the base. I was a West Coast sailor, so it was the first time I was in Virginia. So it was pretty cool base.
Yeah, it's super big. It has like 2 or 3 airports in it or something like that.
Yeah, it's massive. I was on a little base. I was in Alameda, California. It's a little base.
Okay.
It's no longer a base, but it's night and day different from what you all had in Virginia.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Did you do any med cruises?
No, so my career went a little bit sideways after I got to subs because when I got to submarines, my supervisor, he actually sexually assaulted me. He wanted to get a little frisky with me. Right. And you see my size and you go like, how in the hell did he try to do that? But he tried. So when I kind of put resistance and I kind of started getting a little physical, there was a knife involved and a couple things. They tried to shelve it because he actually had his face reconstructed like 2 years prior because of the same incident.
Damn.
Right. I know. Amazing. So they kind of try to give me the whole, hey man, you're going to get kicked out and you're going to get. So they try to play some psyops, a little psychological games with me.
Yeah.
I raised a little hell on the battalion side. I put the OIG in place and, did the proper channels, didn't give, other than the knife that possibly could have happened. I don't know that somebody pulled a knife. I don't know. Hypothetical, allegedly, if you would. There was nothing else. I just always complied to his orders and everything else like that. But then I saw the signs like, hey, let me hold you here, man, because I don't want to do something that's going to damage my career. So I got put sidetracked. Battalion got involved, or not battalion for that matter. The subgroup commanders got involved, and then they were like, okay, we're going to med board you out. They just wanted to give the problem away. And I got put in Little Creek, Virginia at a very lovely detachment with the LCU units and stuff like that. Mike 8 boats, and it was great command. And then all of a sudden my med board came back and they gave me 10%. And I said, hell no, I fought it.
Yeah,
and I won the appeal. Right. It was like, no, like you guys are crazy. You're just trying to get rid of the problem. But the OIG got involved. Dude got fired. He pretty much lost his retirement and everything else. And it's funny how life works, right? Because my supervisor at that time, I just literally had gotten my results from the med board saying, hey, man, you're not going to get kicked out. It was like a month before that. And then he comes around and was like, hey, man, do you want 3 days of liberty? And I was like, yes. What do I have to do? Like, who do we have to jump, bro? And he's like, no, calm down. I was like, oh, just playing. No, just sign your name here and say that you want to volunteer to go to Iraq. I was like, say no less. Like, sign my name. Monday comes around. Guess who got orders to Iraq? This freaking guy. So after my time in that LCU, it's Soulcraft Unit 2 out of Little Creek, Virginia. or now I think it's JEB, Little Creek, which they did a bunch. They did a bunch of those in the Obama era. Then I got given orders, went to Norfolk, went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and then I spent the year in the sandbox, like boots on ground, filling in MP battalion shoes, the 530th and 306 MP battalion. We were part of the individual augmentee program. And I was 20 years old, turned 21 in Iraq. So after that, it was like, okay, do I come back and become a cook? And I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to do something different. So I put in an actual package to have a conversion, and I became a cryptologist technician. So I ended up my career as a CTR.
That's very interesting.
Right? And a lot of people say the same. They go like, dude, you went from being a cook to being a CTR? I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens quite a bit, but cross rating, but cook to a crypt.
I think I had another guy actually in the same command in ACU that he tried it and he wanted to become a CTN, and he finished like week 2, and he was like, nah, we're going to send you back to the fleet. We can't deal with you. And he just got orders and he went somewhere else. So that was it was a hell of a ride. I ended up my career as a CTR, and I was stationed in Fort Meade, Maryland. That's where I ended up. Ended up in Fort Meade after going to like 3 different schools. Oh yeah.
Right on. What are you doing now out of the Navy?
So now that I've been out of the Navy, I worked for FEMA for a little bit when Hurricane Maria happened. And before that, I was actually working for the post office for a little bit. Tapped a little bit into my GI Bill, but didn't really use it as much back then. And then I was like, okay, let me do something different. So in the time that I was in between the post office and FEMA, I kind of got into some bad people, man. Some bad people were around me. I made some poor decisions. I went into very deep alcoholism, a lot of drug problems. Thankfully, never was incarcerated for it or anything like that. Never had to go to any programs or anything like that. 2018 came forward and I had no job. I was already out of the post office, already done with the FEMA contract. And my now wife, I was pretty drunk that day. There was no drugs involved, but I was pretty drunk. And I looked at myself in the mirror after having a very, very one-sided discussion with her that I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? I'm done. I can't be here. She doesn't deserve this. She's a great woman. She's the love of my life. I will never find anybody better. So I'm done. And I packed up my bags and I left. I literally just left everything. Left the cars, left everything that I owned, and I still have things in Puerto Rico. I don't even look at them anymore. And we went to Texas because her sister lived in Texas, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do something different. I was like, do you want to go to Texas with me? We were just dating. She was like, yeah, screw it, man, fuck it, I'll go. I was like, all right, well, that's the spirit. Let's go to Texas. So after that, I came here, worked for the post office for a little bit, and then got hurt my neck picking up a box like an idiot. So I left the post office because they weren't really doing anything for me and I didn't want to hold the position anymore. Started going back to school and I'm about 5 credits away from my degree and I work for a security company. So that's what I do.
Wow.
And I do my podcasts. We make t-shirts and pretty much anything apparel or anything business related that people need, we make that for them. And I host a podcast and that's how I pretty much spend my time. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the t-shirts in your podcast, man. What's you have a name for your business?
So we have for the actual t-shirt business or the craft studio, it is called Tulip Craft Studio, and you can find it at tulipcraftstudio.com. We do pretty much my son. He's the one that pretty much got this thing started. And believe it or not, at 5 years old, which is pretty funny. My son has cerebral palsy. And he also has epilepsy and something called apraxia of speech. Yeah, that's all good, man. He's a great kid. He's a funny guy. He really is. He's all there. It's just a little muscle tone damage, and that's it. And you can barely understand them because of the apraxia of speech. Like, in honesty, you kind of have to go like, "What did you say again, bud?" And they're like, "Oh, okay. Oh, got it. I got 2 words out of that. I can put it together." Got it. So, he loves tie-dye t-shirts. He freaking loves them. He's just all about them, all the colors and stuff. And we're like, all right, well, how about we start making them with you? put it on social media, and a bunch of friends from Puerto Rico, from my wife and from my side of the family, they were like, "Hey, where can we get these?" And we're like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Yeah, he's making them, right? You're selling them, right?" And we're like, "No, we're not. We're just making them for him." So that's how we started. My wife had the idea to start like an actual business, and that's what we did. And then for the podcast, since I'm going to college for international relations and global security, I wanted to do something to kind of piece things together. Because, being from the crypto side and everything else, it's kind of like inherent. It's just there. So I started the podcast, started talking about politics in general, and now it has moved more into an educational podcast and a weekly news roundup. So I just talk about pretty much what's going on in the news. How can it affect you? Why should I be looking at it? What is a geopolitical perspective? And then, funny enough, tied to the t-shirt business, I went to my son's therapy place, and I always go every single therapy that he has twice a week. And I noticed that kids, when they were doing therapy, they weren't really excited about therapy. And I was like, okay, why is that? They were painting coloring books. They were just doing little things here and there, not excited about it. I was like, okay, like what is missing here? So the one thing that I noticed that was missing was basically the kids not having something that they can relate with. And it's okay. So how can a child with cerebral palsy relate to something in an actual coloring book? Well, I was like, okay, how can I put one and one together and make something happen with this? So I sat down and I said, I'm gonna start an actual coloring book. So it just came out yesterday on Amazon. It is called The Adaptive Superheroes, and you can find it on Amazon. So that is basically the story of 26 superheroes that actually have disabilities. They're either in a wheelchair, they're either blind, they either have autism, and they're using their adaptive superpower to actually get something done.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm doing a bunch of things, man, at all times. For some reason, it's just my mind. I just got to keep going. So
Yeah. Very cool. So, does he speak English or Spanish?
both actually.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because you'll be going, you'll be driving somewhere, and then you'll see cows, and you're like, "Hey, buddy, look, the cows and like las vacas," and he'll be like, "Yeah, the vaca." And you're like, "Okay, well, I know what he's trying to say. I got it." So he just it depends on the day and the mood that he's in. For some reason, it's kind of okay. You're gonna understand me in Spanish today. We're like, all right, we'll go for it. So, yeah,
Spanish is this is probably gonna be a stupid question, but
yeah, you're good.
is Mexican people and Puerto Rican people, do they speak the same Spanish?
In the essence, it is basically the same Spanish. It's just like anybody from the UK or Australia, we speak the same English, but
Yeah.
there's always some jargon. Like somebody in Mexico will say bizcocho, and bizcocho means something completely different for me than what it means for them. Bizcocho for me is just cake. For them, it means a part of the female anatomy. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's just slang,
Yeah.
bro. At that point, it's just simple slang. And the proper pronunciation when Spanish people get in the mix, then you feel dumb as anybody else. You just feel lesser. Just kind of look at it and go like, okay, well, I guess you speak, you speak Spanish. I just speak some other garbage. I don't know what the hell it is. 'Cause they do make you feel bad too. They correct you too. It's like, oh, you don't say it like that. You say like, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
It's the letter H. It's not the letter H. Calm down over there. You red bastard. Like, so, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. Is the Puerto Rican food, is it very similar to Mexican food?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
I will tell you something, and this is, I hope that a lot of people don't watch this show. I'll be honest with you because this is going to be controversial. Puerto Rican food gastronomically has a lot to learn from Mexican cuisine. Mexico has certainly passed down generationally a very different palate than Puerto Rico has, because we do have some very delicious food. Don't get me wrong. And look at me, I'm fat as hell because I eat that Puerto Rican food every freaking day. But it's a completely different game. They definitely use all their flavors together. They hit their P's and Q's the proper way, and it's different. I love both. I really love both.
yeah, awesome. I love, like, one of my favorite foods is And my wife and I go every Saturday as Mexican food. Man, I just can't get enough.
There you go. We go. I'm gonna say weekly. We have a little taco truck that is just hidden right next to an Ace Hardware store. So it's good because it's right next to a place that a lot of working people go to,
Yeah.
and all you see is just dirty boots walking in and out, and you're like, okay, yeah, I mess with this. I can get behind this.
Hell
And they
yeah.
have some freaking delicious tacos too, and they make the tortillas from scratch, and boy, let me tell you, it's great.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
get that here in Florida a lot too. I don't know how you do in Tennessee. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how many different people want to just move to Tennessee from a lot of places, but here in Florida, people just freaking love Florida for some reason. So
Yeah.
you can just go down the road and you just throw a stone and you hit Thai place, and then you go somewhere else and you hit a freaking Salvadorian place, and you're like, I don't know what they cook, but I'm there for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty
I'm
cool.
originally from Detroit, and there's a lot
There
of
you go.
different boroughs in Detroit. So the food
Right.
scene in Detroit is amazing.
Okay, that's cool. My aunt is from Detroit. She's also a veteran as well.
Oh, right. on.
Yeah, she married my uncle, my mom's brother. She's from Detroit. She has some.
Do you know what part, like whereabouts?
No, I do not know. I do remember, from her life story, not hindering or anything that she told me in private. She had a rough upbringing, but she
Yeah.
she's made a killing after the military, just with her career, the way that she has exposed herself to real estate and everything else that she does. She's an amazing human being. Yeah, she's done very
Awesome.
well.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
It's your hometown in Puerto Rico. How far were you from the coast?
From the north side of the coast, I would say about 45 minutes. From the west, about 35 to 45 minutes. But Puerto Rico minutes are different than American minutes because it's a lot of curves. There's no
Oh,
straight highways. Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, the only straight highway that you get is from San Juan to Arecibo, and then you go around the island kind of thing. But once you get into like the rural towns, buddy, you say 45 minutes and you're driving 45 minutes just in curves, and hopefully nobody's drunk and hits you in the way,
Oh, man.
Yeah, or going freaking crazy fast for no reason because they think it's a freaking autobahn. Like,
Yeah.
we're not in Germany, guys. Like, come down. Like, just have a peaceful drive. Like here in the highway, I don't go over
Yeah.
80.
It's to the San Juan. It's funny how you have two towns right next to each other. You got Old San Juan and New San Juan,
Mhm.
and they are night and day different, man. It's like you go from New San Juan over to Old, and it's like going through the turn of the century or something.
Yeah, that is a very that's a very good point. Because the problem is that the little cobblestones and stuff like that, that was
Yeah.
actually plays there from the freaking Spanish. So Puerto Rico has taken since like the late 70s, which is funny because you would think that before that people were like, hey, we're not gonna touch this. No, the 70s people were like, hey, we gotta start turning this thing around, man. Like we gotta make some hotels in here. They're like, no. There was a guy, he was a Puerto Rican artist, and he was like, no, we're not gonna do this. We're gonna make like an actual art, institute, and we're gonna cherish this crap until like ever. This is civilization like treasure right here. And we're part of the UNESCO and everything else like that. And the Forest Department is the one that manages the El Morro or el Castillo de San Felipe del Morro, which is what it's called. And that big fort that you went to, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The
Right
one
there.
right next to it, San Cristobal, and that little community in the middle that you kind of go like, oh my God, what are these people doing here? Well, they let them build houses, man, and that's where they're at. So it used to be one of the most dangerous places to go in Puerto Rico, right next to the tourist attractions too, which is funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the 90s it was. The SWAT team from Puerto Rico, they would not even get in there back in the 90s. They were like, oh, they're fighting down there? Okay, we're wrapping up, guys. We're out of here. Like it used to be like that. Not anymore.
Yeah. Isn't there a Coast Guard base right there too?
There is, yeah, right on the south side where the piers are at, where Carnival and pretty much anybody that has a freaking cruise line goes in there. Norwegian, they love that place too. It's right next to it. Yeah, it's a pretty cute base, man. You kind of look at it. They have like a little PX where you can buy, beer and kind of that kind of stuff. I think if they still do it or not, I don't remember. But yeah, it's a pretty cool town. Well, you're right, dude. The contrast is completely different. There's actually 3 municipalities within that little area too, because you have San Juan, Rio Piedra, and then to the other side down the road, Ashford Avenue, where the airport is at and all the hotels, that row, that's pretty much half of it is Carolina, which is another town. Like, again, Puerto Rico mismanagement, bro. Like, why do you need to have 78 municipalities? Put 5 regions, bro, 5 counties, and we're done. Like, that's it. No, they have to do 78 of them because that makes sense.
San Juan and Old San Juan, is it the same town?
It is the same town, yeah. And the mayor for that town is a very important position because it has super close proximity to where the governor stays and everything else like that, and where the governor of Puerto Rico is. So it's like people call it a trampoline to get to the governorship. At least it used to be, not anymore. Now anybody can be governor down there. And but it's managed basically by them. But and this is the sad part, and it's just like anywhere else in the United States, man. They worry about what it is sexy. You know what I mean? What does bring revenue in? And Old San Juan is the one that brings revenue. So they worry about that. And then you have drug addicts just taking over the streets like anywhere else here, like in Dallas, freaking Los Angeles, anywhere. So it's a pretty bad issue. I went to, which is something that I never thought I was going to see in the United States. I went to Dallas over the Thanksgiving break, and there was somebody taking a shower in the middle of the freaking water fountain as I was coming into Dallas. And I was like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
So it's just anywhere in the United States right now is the same way.
Yeah. Every city has it.
We all have it.
Yeah.
Which is horrible. Yeah. It shouldn't be like that. Right?
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like, how can you say, no, I'm proud of where I'm from?
Yeah.
And what happened to national pride? And I think that as veterans, we feel national pride a little bit different. I'm not saying or taking away from society as a whole.
Right.
Well, we know the cost of our freedom. We know the cost of, how we are, and this ability that we have to have our words just come across anywhere, anybody, have a disagreement and be okay with it. This is not anywhere else. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we take so many things for granted, and we forget that one of the components that makes freedom of speech possible is national pride. It is there. Yeah, you have to be proud of where you're from, and you have to be proud of who you are. So why not try that? Why not exploit that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes me mad. People go like, "Oh, you're from Puerto Rico? Yeah, oh my God, it's so awesome." I was like, "Yeah, it is freaking awesome. I am proud of where I'm from. Why would I not be proud?"
Yeah.
Is there bad in it? Fuck yeah, there's bad in it. Where isn't? Like, come on, dude. I get out of town, but still have to be that proud. And you ask people when you're abroad and you see somebody kind of look at him, you're like, he has a ball cap on. I'm pretty sure he's American. Let me go and ask him. Hey, you're American? Oh, no. What? Come on, dude. Like, be proud of that crowd. Like, fuck yeah, I'm American. They messed up, or whatever the case might be. I don't drink anymore, but
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll always be proud of being an American. And if I feel uncomfortable saying that in another country, I don't need to be in that country because they probably don't like me.
Yeah. Yeah. Put a dot on the Middle East map, and then you know exactly what we're talking about. You're like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I can get some falafel somewhere down the road over here. Like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to do none of that. That's just me, man. Yeah, I agree.
So how long have you been doing your podcast?
I've been doing it for a year. It started as a conversation with a friend. I was like, hey, why don't you get into podcasting? I was like, I don't know nothing about podcasting. I don't know where to start. I was like, well, you seem pretty smart. Why don't you figure it out? I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you. Thank you so much, buddy. So, no guidance, no nothing whatsoever. So now I've been doing it for a year. It's been a wild ride, man.
Do you do a video and audio, just video?
So I used to do video and audio, and I used to do a lot of guest appearances when things like the border and stuff like that happened down in Texas. And I had, by some weird connection through X, I felt in the grasp of another podcast in Texas, and I helped them do a lot of their analysis and stuff like that. And we used to all do video. So, but I will always sit there. I will also sit there and do more of like a one-on-one conversation with the listener, or one-on-one conversation with the viewer, and then have some audio visual or some actual visuals to aid when it comes to what I'm talking about. Like right now I'm talking about propaganda and privacy and stuff like that. So I'll have some visuals. And I feel that now I'm moving more towards I don't know if you've seen it on Canvas before or anything like that. If you use Canva to make any of your artwork.
I do, yes.
Yeah, so you can actually do the audio podcast version of it, and then you just put something run off in the top. Not necessarily a video. You can just add your elements and go for it. So that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, bro. Do you have a co-host, or are you just doing it by yourself?
I do it by myself right now. I don't mind having the idea of a co-host or anything like that, but I want to do it more of an educational piece, and I want people to engage on social media and everything else, so we can have that discussion.
Yeah.
Within the comments of the podcast and stuff like that. For now, that's the way that I'm going, because I found that when I let myself go a little too deep into some topics, then people online don't really take good report to that, and they kind of want to attack your character, and they want to do some dirty things, and I have to have VPNs on and all this kind of stuff. And then I was kind of like, okay, I have a son to think of, I have a wife, you know what I mean? Let me just pump the brakes a little bit, and let me go back into more of let's start teaching people the things, and then we're going to implement them next year and just kind of run with it. Because I already bought the equipment. Like, it's not like I'm going anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, I'll pay the membership fee for the freaking, for the repository. I'm going to keep going, but let's build something better. That's what I found,
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, man. How about you guys? When do you all do normally the podcast and stuff like that?
I have two podcasts. I have this one, and then I have a sports one I do every Sunday morning. The Sunday morning sports one's a live show all the time. So we just pop on at 9:00 in the morning and we talk. But this one, we've been doing this one for 3.5 years. We
Okay.
started 4th of July weekend. This 4th of July will be 4 years. And it started picking up steam, right? And it started making a little bit of money. And it really wasn't my intent to make money, because my
Right.
goal was to listen to veteran stories.
Yeah.
So I took the money and I started a nonprofit, and that's where Minutes Wisely comes in. And now we send veterans on these awesome trips, and we pay for it.
Love it.
Yeah. So like, I have season tickets for the Detroit Lions.
Oh,
So
nice.
every Sunday during football season, I'll send a veteran or a first responder to the game. We sent guys to baseball playoffs this year, hockey games. I mean, you name it, we try to get somebody to
No,
a
that is
game or
pretty cool. That is amazing.
concert. Yeah.
For me, I want to get monetized because I want to add a little different, or a piece of me, man, and my son to the community around me that has special needs.
Yeah.
That's my drive. So I did that book for that reason. Like, I literally just paid like $100 for the actual author fees for me to get the book, so I can go to each and every place around me that has an actual therapy center, and I can donate it to them. And every month I'm going to do that. Like, at the end of the day, the money doesn't mean anything. Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, why? And it's cool, you know what I mean? And a lot of people get to see you. That's nice. But it's more about what can you do with that extra resource that you didn't have before. I want to have that impact. To me, that impact is through the special needs community. So a lot of people affected by it, by muscle dystrophy, any kind of autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, anything. It affects a lot of people. So let's bring a little bit extra to them. And I want to be able to, one day, I want to take all the kids in my son's therapy place, and I want to be like, hey, I need to see all your parents. And why? Because I'm buying you a membership yearly for the freaking zoo right around the corner.
Hell yeah.
So your parents can go and take you there, because I just bought one for my son. I know how much it costs, and then you can take your whole family. And then that cost is not on you anymore. Now we did that with the podcast and with the books and everything else. And that's what the goal is for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I also wrote a book, and I kind of incorporated the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is it's a cookbook from sailor to backyard cook.
That's
and
awesome.
What I did was I took some cool quotes from some of my past guests,
Man.
and I put quotes and they're verbatim. Can't really. Oh, I'm going.
No, I can see them. Yeah.
So there's quotes in there, and they're verbatim. And all I did was I used like AI to extract the words from the video.
Yeah.
And then I just stuck it into the pages of the cookbook, and I use that to get out in front of people. And I'll do like book signings, and so it's a good way to it's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to meet other veterans, and it's a great way to get my word out about my my nonprofit and stuff. So doing a book is a great idea if you're into that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, you got another customer because I just bought it too online.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh yeah,
Yeah. Great stories from veterans and cooking. Okay, I'm in.
yeah.
Man,
The,
all we're missing is a beer in our hand, and we call it the service right there.
if you go to the marinara page and make that marinara, it's literally a 15-minute recipe, and it's
Okay.
probably going to be the best marinara you've ever had in your life.
Nice.
It's
Yeah,
my-
we're into making things from scratch. My wife loves making bread, and so do I.
Hell yeah.
We don't. Again, when you have a child with special needs, man, you always try to get as healthy as you can, but
For sure.
not to alienate yourself with food, because we're in appointments all the time and everything else like that. So you gotta push a chicken nugget here and there, but
Yeah.
from Mickey D's. But if we have the time, we definitely make it from scratch. So yeah, I'm definitely.
Hell yeah. So your son's about a year off from going to school. Will he go to elementary school with everybody else, or will he have to go to special school?
That is something that it is more of a, I would say, is a personal decision from my wife and
gotcha.
I, and because of everything else that's going on around the U.S. in general, when it comes to the schools and everything else like that, we have put a lot of time and effort into our son being as healthy as he is right now, and even if he
Yeah.
has his medical conditions. So we don't want to take him to public school.
I got
So
you.
what we did was, here in the state of Florida, you can apply for something called an IEP, which is an individual and educational program. And then that way you can do homeschooling, and then the state assists you with some of the actual cost of it. Or you can actually take him to special school, which is a place that he goes to here in Florida. He goes to a therapy place that was started by somebody that had 2 children with special needs, specifically cerebral palsy. And then she added a school to it. And it's a fully accredited school. They go at their own
Nice.
pace. Yeah, they do. They have 5 different classrooms, and they have them, when you're super severe, you have, let's say, microcephaly, and you're basically, that's it. You know what I mean? It's very, very rare that you can go above that level. Then they keep on that level until you get to the point that you can communicate with the device. Then you can actually go to the bathroom, whatever the case might be. So that's what we're going for. And that school particularly costs a little bit more than what the IAP completely covers, which is in total about $31,000, because you have a nurse and you have an actual teacher, and then you have a teacher's assistant within each and every classroom. And every classroom has only 5 students. So then they do fundraisers and stuff like that, which, again, with the proceeds of everything else, which is something that I want to donate
Right.
my time and everything else. So that's pretty much where he's gonna end up at eventually, because we're right at, like you said, we're right at the year. We have an advocate that is actually working on his IEP right now to see what score do we get, how much funding, and if the school will actually even accept them. If they don't accept them, then we will take whatever the IEP is, and then we'll homeschool them here.
Yeah. I think sending your child to public school today has got to be a frightening thing. There was just a school shooting just a town over from here yesterday, and two kids were killed. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that's something
No.
I'll never be able to wrap my head around. Like, why are kids taking guns to school and killing their classmates?
I think it's more of it's a let me see how can I phrase it in a proper way that it doesn't sound political at all.
Yeah.
When you look at the way that our country was founded and the institution of the Constitution per se, and how people have taken that from what it is, a living document, and they have taken it to do whatever they want with just complete disregard for society, complete disregard for the value of human life. That's what you have. And when our society is telling kids that it is safer, and us as parents more so, when we're telling our kids, like, no, go and spend time with that electronic device because I don't have the time for you, when we all know it's not true, man. It's a freaking lie.
Yeah.
We have time for our children. We just have to make the freaking time. I'll give you the perfect example. Today, I was sitting down with my wife. She's going to college. I'm going to college. We're trying to do the best that we can so we can get into a different, financial level so we can take better care of our son.
Yes.
What do? He has special needs. We all know that. He crawls. He does all the things that any other child does. He gets in trouble.
Yeah.
We didn't stop watching him. We have a camera. We put the camera. We're watching him while we're working. It doesn't take that much. You give him the freedom. He has that sense of, oh, mom and dad are just letting me do what I want. No, but we're still keeping an eye on him, not because of his medical conditions, because he's still a child and he's going to do what children do. So no, parents today, and I see it all throughout, we're going to say, not necessarily within my family, but within other people that I might associate with. And you see them, that the kids are just raising themselves with TikTok, with social media in general.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, because now you're having somebody that his or her mind is still just basically growing, basically getting accustomed to what society is. You're putting them with the top 0.1% just because they want to be like that person. But who are you? What are your values? What are you teaching them? What is a value in your life or life in general? We're not doing that anymore. So that's why I think it's happening. It's an erosion of the fabric within our society.
Yeah. Yes. I think, exactly. And social media is a big part of the erosion there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, how can you tell a child now, or better so, if you go to a high school today and you ask kids around an arena filled with high school students, and you go like, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? Something so basic as that.
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be an influencer. Minimum 25% of them are going to say they're going to be an influencer.
Yeah.
The other 75%, they're going to be what their parents are, or they just 25% don't even know what they want because nobody has sat down with them and given them the skills and the tools for them to do just some basic, critical thinking and say, hey, you know what? This is what I want to do. This is how I want to impact society. If I even want to be part of society, because most of them don't.
Right. I say, go see your recruiter.
That's right. I wouldn't change anything that has happened in my life so far until this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it at all. No. It made me who I am today. Gave me something that I wasn't getting anywhere else. So,
so I was on an aircraft carrier. I've been to 4 different continents.
Right.
You can't pay for that kind of experience, and I got it for free. So
right.
It was amazing. I wouldn't change it. You could, if Elon Musk walk up to me and said, I'm going to give you $5 million, but you have to exchange your past experience with me. And I'm like, hell no.
No.
Good, bro.
No, for me,
I love my past.
Exactly. For me, I had options before I joined the military. And this is a personal story. My godfather, he was actually a doctor in Puerto Rico, and he told me, he's like, hey, man, I will pay for medical school for 2 years. I will pay for your bachelor's, and I will pay for medical school for 2 years. All you have to do is pay for the last 2. If you stay here and you say that you can't do the contract anymore. And I told him, no, this is my decision. So even if I had the options, I wouldn't change it. And I did have the options. I wouldn't change it at all, man. I grew so much as a human.
Yeah.
And even afterwards, I think the after service was the worst part because you're just left stranded. They send you to a class and they go like, hey, figure it out. And you go like, what? Like, what's going on? So I think as military veterans, we have to, and we try to stay connected to other veterans within our community to give them a sense of, that belonging, because that's what I lacked, the sense of belonging. That's where I felt in very bad place because of that.
Yes, absolutely. So we're wrapping up on an hour here. So at the end of every show, we have a thing it's called like the saved rounds. So I'm going to ask you to pick a number 1 through 10, and that number, I have a list here. That number is going to correlate to a question I'm going to ask you.
Perfect.
So if you could pick a number 1 through 10. 5.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what lessons did you learn in the military that you believe everyone should apply to their daily lives?
Wow, that is a very good question. I like this. I never expected that. I love it.
Yeah.
The lessons that I learned in the military that have definitely impacted me. Let me see. I would say the biggest lesson, I will pick one because I can talk here for an hour.
Yeah.
The biggest lesson for me was knowing thyself. It is to the point that the military service itself, it is catered to putting you in a position where you're just going to react to whatever's in front of you. That's it. You got that quick response. You got that critical thinking that is either in you or it is not. So I knew myself better when I was put in those positions. Biggest one was the first time that I got mortar attacked when I was in Camp Bucca, Iraq. Nobody knew how to act. We're all in the Navy. We didn't know that, but I knew myself and I knew exactly what I had to do. I put my battle gear on and we're at war. Let's go. And you're pulling people out of freaking trucks that are crying underneath them and freaking out, calling for their mom when they're 30 some years old and freaking out because they have kids back home, everything else like that. So know thyself. That's what the military actually taught me. You have to know who you are every single day, because if at one point you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't like who you are, then this is a time for you to change. And the change is within you.
Absolutely. And the military will definitely teach you who you are.
Oh, absolutely. It's the best place to find out who you are.
Yeah, definitely.
You find out if you're lightweight really quick. You know what I mean? That's really quick. That's just a weekend out in freaking Gibraltar, for that matter. It's like, well, 6 is my number. I know that now. Now I know myself a little bit better.
Exactly. Hey, well, I want to thank you for hopping on with us and giving us a little bit of your story here for 60 minutes. I wish you and your wife all the best, and your son. Hopefully he gets the schooling that he needs.
That's what we're shooting for, my friend. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you guys for having me, man. This was a really fun, very, very fun, experience. I love that.
Yeah, we try to keep it lighthearted. It's not like other military shows where they get all intense and everything. We just want to learn the person on the other side of the camera. That's all.
That's cool, man. I love it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So if you send me some links, I put it all in the show description, so our listeners can find you.
That would be great. Absolutely. Yeah,
and I'll shoot you the dates and the times when this thing goes live.
That sounds good, bro.
Sunday.
Great.
All right, stick around for a second. I'm gonna hit the end record. I just want to make sure everything gets downloaded. So
you got it, boss.
Till then, see you guys next Sunday.